So, good afternoon. Third year Bcom computer applications. Third year Bcom computer applications. Semester 6 MIS, Unit 6 SDLC. Today's concept is SDLC. SDLC means System Development. System Development Life Cycle or Software Development Life Cycle. SDLC. It's a one of the setup question, one of the compulsory setup question. So you will need to crack, you will need to take some notes through the presentation. So stages. So what is SDLC? SDLC means software development or system development life cycle. So what are the different stages? What are the different phases or different stages which are existed or which are used or which are implemented to be implemented while designing, developing, implementing, testing a process or a system. So what are the different stages of SDLC? So SDLC mainly deals with 6 phases. SDLC have 6 phases of first one is called as problem definition. Problem definition or defining the problem. Second one is called as feasibility study. Second one is called as feasibility studies. Third one is called as analysis. Fourth one is called as fourth stage is design, and fifth stage is implementation. Sixth stage is maintenance. So these are the 6 different stages. First one is called as problem definition. Second one is feasibility study, and third one is analysis phase, analysis stage. Fourth one is design phase. Fifth one is called as implementation phase, and sixth one is called as maintenance of the system. So these 6 phases or steps are called as SDLC development cycle. So why do we need SDLC? Means generally why we require SDLC process, and why we require SDLC means the software crisis of the late 60s and 70s. Systems were delivered years late. They were over budget and unavailable and difficult to maintain, and did not do what was required. So all these are the deficiencies or pitfalls of the various systems while designing and developing and implementing software systems in the previous days, that is early 60s and 70s. So to overcome all these things, there is a process we have to implement, or we have to follow some process called SDLC. So what does the SDLC do? Systems development lifecycle was an attempt to establish a structured approach to system development, and for management for each stage of the life cycle. For management, each stage of the life cycle was a milestone with an associated date and a set of deliverables. So these are the main important features or important key notes of SDLC process. So SDLC was an attempt to establish a structured approach. So it is a structured approach or a structured step-by-step manner to the system development cycle or system development phase. Second one is in the management review, each stage of the life cycle was a milestone and with an associated date and a set of deliverables. So what are deliverables? Deliverables means some components to be delivered to the customers. So each stage has a associated set of deliverables and sets of documents produced at each stage in the life cycle. So each stage has an associated set of deliverables and sets of documents produced at each stage. Means in every stage there is a separate documentation documentation to be maintained. So first phase is called as problem definition phase. First phase of the SDLC process is called as problem definition, or defining the problem exactly. So the problem definition forms the basis of the problems and requirement list. So in the problem definition only we may identify the various requirements and various understanding the definition of the problem and requirement list. We collect all the requirement list like that. Next, it records all problems and requirements mentioned by clients in interviewer, or which are subsequently discovered during analysis of the phase. So generally in SDLC or in problem definition phase only, the analyst or the developers or the some technical person records all the problems, existing problems. They identify various existing problems in the system, and requirements methodology. Requirements methodology means what are the requirements or requirement gathering. They are also called as gathering of the requirements, needs of the new system, or the pitfalls or the problems in the existing system by the clients, by using some tools like or techniques like some interviews, conducting some interviews like that. So this is called as a problem definition phase or of the SDLC. So after completion of all these things, they simply develop some report. They simply develop some report based on the problems or based on the existing problem, and what are the new suggestions or what are the modifications to the existing problem like that. So the problem definition report is generally created and used. So it contains various parts, or it contains covers various points to provide a written statement of the user's current problems and requirements. So generally it provides that report contains some various written statements of the user's current problems and requirements to get agreement with the user. So that report can identifies, or that report contains all the problems identified and user requirements and user problems in the existing system like that. Second, to ensure that the right problem is being tracked, means to identify the correct solutions, or to identify the exact problems, and to find out various solutions for the given problem, and to force the user to become involved, means to see that the users or end users or customers also involved in the problem definition stage, and to define the current state of the system and the required end stage. To define the current state of the system and the required end state. So to define the current state or exact state of the present system and requirements and stages. So generally the problem definition report have different sections. It contains various sections, or it describes various sections about the definitions of the problem. First one is problem. So exact problem. What is exact problem? Identification of the problem statement like that. Second one is objectives, and third one is scope. Fourth one is preliminary ideas, and fifth one is recommended actions. So what are the objectives of the what are the various objectives identified, and what are the scope means scope of the system, scope of the problems definition, or scope of the problem means is it feasible or not, means whether the given problem is problem or project can be taken or not, means it can be scope to the they will check the scope of the existing project, like various they can also consider various parameters like feasibility, parameter and others. Next, preliminary ideas, and after that the next stage is, and the next step is basic ideas. What are the preliminary ideas to find out the solution, of the given problem, and recommended actions. So in the last step, recommended actions means what are the various actions or what are the various solutions, what are the various solutions to be found, like that. So all these are generally written in the, defined in the problem definition report. So second phase of the SDLC is called as feasibility study. Second phase of the SDLC is called as feasibility study. Means feasibility means whether it can be taken up or not. So feasibility means it is feasible. Is it feasible or not? Means a feasibility study is there a practical solution to the problem outlined in the initial problem definition. So initially, before starting or before beginning the solutions, to find out the best solutions of the problem, generally they conducted some feasibility studies. Based on the feasibility studies only, whether it can be, they will check and they will find out whether they can be feasible or not. Next, in particular, the feasibility study examines the technical, financial, and organizational feasibility of the project. Means, can it be done and can we afford it, and will the proposed new system fit in the existing procedures, like that. So feasibility study mainly focuses on three things. First one is is it really implemented or not, and can we afford it, means the financial feasibility. And they can also check for financial feasibility, means is it financially fit or not. And third one is, will the proposed new system fit in the existing running system or not. So they will check all these three things, and after that they prepare a report on the study of the feasibility. It is called as feasibility study report. Generally it is called as feasibility study report. It contains all the information about presented by the system developer or to the user, and decision is made whether or not to proceed or not. So that report, feasibility report only, generally feasibility report is prepared and developed by system developers, and based on that report only decision is taken whether it is whether we can proceed or not, further proceed or not. So that is called as feasibility study or feasibility report. Next, third phase is called as analysis. What is the third phase of system development life cycle or SDLC life cycle is? Third phase is called as analysis. So what is analysis? So generally in analysis phase, deliverable from the analysis stage is the specification of requirement. So what are the requirements? Specification of requirements means what are the various requirements generally required or gathered from the customers or end users or clients, and logical model of the required model means there are different types of models are used: logical model, physical model, design model, conceptual views. So that logical model is also designed and developed in this phase only. Next, states what the system is to do, means in the analysis phase only we may study about the running of the existing system. In the analysis phase only we may study the running of the existing system, means what are the various inputs, what are the various outputs, what are the reports generated, outputs required, and how the data is flows from one place to another place. So study of the existing system. Study of the existing means study of the running present working system. Next, says nothing about how to implement it. Generally the analysis phase includes or covers all the information about data flow diagrams or DFDs. What are data flow diagrams? Data flow means it is a diagram, graphical representation of data or information or files generally taken from one place to another place, or generally working of the data flow diagrams and physical databases, physical data informations. Second one is data dictionaries. So what are data dictionaries? Data dictionary is nothing but it is a description of each and every part of the data. Second part is called as data description. What is data dictionary? Data dictionary is also known as a description of each and every data item in the database or tables. States next. Third is process definitions. Process definitions means to identify various processes or various procedures in the system, to identify various processes or procedures in the system. Next, ER model. ER model is what is ER model? ER model is entity relationship model. So it is also one of the tool. It is also generally one of the tool. Generally it is a graphical tool. It is a graphical representation or a graphical tool generally used to draw some graphics or some pictures. By using these graphics only we can identify the flow of database or flow of data or information in the system. Next, last is entity life histograms, studies or the state diagrams. So these are the different parts or the tools, different stages or tools which are generally used in analysis phase of the SDLC. Fourth stage is called as design phase. Fourth phase is called as design phase. What is design phase? It has two stages. Generally it has two stages. First one is provides several different solutions to the problem. Provides several different solutions to the problem and selects one solution and specifies it in detail. So what is the design phase? Fourth phase is called as the design phase of the SDLC. In the design phase only, the designers or developers identify various solutions. They can study the existing system and identify various solutions to the proposed new system or existing system, and after that they can also identify the exact solution, or they can also select the solution or to the given, choose and select the one solution from among the given solutions. Next, so design phase alternative solution. So a very cheap solution which does the job and no more. And generally the design phase, in the design phase we may consider the following points. So cheap solution. Next, a medium price solution which does the job well and is convenient for the user. The third one is a high cost all singing and all dancing solutions. So these are the different solutions. First one is cheap solution, second one is medium level or medium stage solutions, third one is called as high cost solutions. So what are the different factors, what are the different solutions, or what are the different factors may differ, or how solutions may differ. So what are the different parameters which may affect the solutions. So first one is system boundaries. Knowing the first one is knowing the boundaries of the existing system, means what are the limitations and what are the different rules and regulations and boundaries and of the existing system. Second one is automation boundaries could remain manual, means automation boundaries means various it is related to some manual testing or system level testing, automation testing, like that. Next, third one is hardware required, hardware part or hardware components systems required. Fourth one is software requirements and design strategies and user interfaces and cost. Costs means what are the various estimations to design and complete the given problem. User interface means what are the various user interfaces, type of applications, what are the different softwares used, like that. Design strategies means various design patterns or various design solutions or various design types used, and hardware and software requirements, like that. Next, design, selecting a solution. Design, next, selecting a solution. So specification may include, generally the specifications specifications may include program design, example structure charts and specifications, and a specification of the user manual or a mission interface, and a specification of the layout of reports and other system outputs, file and record specifications, the hardware specifications including costs and implementation schedules, like that. Next, implementation. Fifth stage is called as implementation. Implementation means starting the coding part or starting finding real solutions by using some systems or by using some softwares and hardware. So implementation stage means to convert the manual problem into a computerized solution, to find out some solution of human problem into to find out the exact solutions by using systems. So program listing, test plans and supporting documentation. So in the implementation stages there are various other tasks are to be completed. First one is program listings, means what are the different programs. Test plans means what are the different types of tests, white box test, black box text and other test scenarios. And supporting documentation means the system documentation or documentation prepared by the users, and manual of operating procedures. So preparation of manuals and guides regarding operating procedures, means regarding working of the system, and manual of clerical procedures. Clerical procedures means what are the different manuals to be implemented at clerical level. Next, user manuals. User manuals means generally in user manuals it can explain each and every steps and troubleshooting techniques and software and hardware requirements, procedures and others. Hardware on which the system will run. So in the implementation stage only they can identify what are the various systems and the hardware requirements, like system configurations, network configurations or network speeds, and what are the input databases, and what are the various levels of types of application desktop, like that. The system must be installed at the client side on their requirements. So after implementing the system, after implementing or after completion of the system, generally the system is installed at the client place, and it is also a client place, and they can also perform various tests on the newly installed system for identifying various bugs and others, and changeover from the old to the new system supervised. So while implementing or the implementing phase only, we can identify various changeover steps. What are changeover steps means? What is the existing system and what is the new system, and whether all the points are covered or not, like that. Maintenance. Sixth stage or sixth phase of SDLC is called as maintenance. So what is maintenance? Generally starts as soon as the system is handed over. So maintenance work or maintenance is immediately starts after the system is physically or system is handed over to the clients, and term maintenance often euphemism for finding and correcting errors. Generally in maintenance phase only we may find out various errors or various bugs and rectify them immediately in online. True maintenance is modifying the system to meet evolving client requirements. So true maintenance is modifying the system to meet evolving client requirements. So maintenance is the major or key role in SDLC process. It covers or it solves all the problems which occurs generally in the running stage or testing stage of the system. Next, system developer must start again at the beginning of the cycle. So in the maintenance phase only, if any errors, generally if there are any errors or bugs are found, generally the developer starts from the beginning to resolve the issues or problems in the system. So an example, simplified system. So this is the example of the SDS. This is a cycle. This cycle is called as SDLC cycle. So this diagram explains all the phases of the SDLC process. So first one is client requirements. First stage is in the client requirements. After gathering of the client requirements, generally requirements engineering is taken place. After that, specification documents. After that, specification documents are prepared. After that, design phase will be implemented. Generally, the design phase of the system will be so after specification, completion of the specification report, design phase will start, and generally the system design will be prepared and tested by technical people or according to their needs or according to their specific requirements. So after technical specifications, after preparing the technical specifications, implementation phase will start. Generally in implementation phase means generally working of the system, real system working will start, and after that, after completion of the working as system development and design, installation and maintenance parts will taking place. Installation. So after completion of the system, after completion of the working systems, implementation, installation and maintenance, implementation and installation and maintenance parts are started at client space. After that, operational system and meetings, and again this cycle generally repeats. This is a complete cycle of the SDLC process. So meanwhile, while preparing or while gathering requirements engineering or while in the requirements engineering phase only, generally validations, verifications and validations phases are taken place in between client requirements and specifications. Next, system requirements. Next phase is called as system requirements. So what are system requirements means what are the inputs what are the outputs, what are the procedures, what are the reports generally required by the clients. All these things are called as system requirements. So in the system requirements phase only, there are different phases or steps are used. First one is errors in requirements may account for approximately 50% of the total cost of debugging is system software. Many of the traditional system development methods merely pay a lip service. Next, today requirements engineering is recognized as a crucial stage in the so requirements, what are they? So what are the different types of requirements, or what are the different types of gatherings generally used? So no consequences of opinion as to what is meant by requirements. So system requirements and software requirements. So basically there are two types of requirements: system requirements and software requirements. System requirements means they can be generally it can be used at system problem statement and design phase only. So the client's needs and wishes. Generally system requirements mainly concentrates on the client's needs and their wishes, means what are the inputs, what are the databases, and what type of outputs, means manual system. They can study about the manual system or existing running system, and user actually what requires. Generally they study about the requirements of the clients or the users or end users, and what are the inputs and what are the various outputs required, reports required, procedures or processes required, like that. Second type of requirement is called as software requirement. So constraints put on the system development, such as hardware, software and design methods. So mainly software requirements mainly concentrates on the such as hardware requirements, means hardware environments, network environments, and software requirements. What are the various softwares or existing softwares and proposed new system softwares, and design methods. What are the different types of designs required, like that. Requirements engineering. So what do you mean by requirements engineering? Means generally it covers three phases. First one is elicitation and specification and validation. Elicitation means identifying requirements. The second one is specification, means describing them in an appropriate language or notation. Third one is validation. Validation means checking with the client that the description accurately records his or her needs and wishes. So these are the three steps. First one is elicitation, means identifying requirements. Second one is specifications, describing them in an appropriate language or notation. Validations, checking with the client that the description actually records his or her needs or not. So what are the different types of requirements? What are the different types of requirements? So functional requirements and non-functional requirements. So functional requirements means what the system has to do, what its inputs and outputs, or how these are linked. So these are they are called as functional requirements. Functional requirement mainly concentrates on what are the inputs and what are the outputs and what are the procedures. Non-functional requirements means the attributes of the system as it performs its jobs can be divided into non-functional requirements of the system, and non-functional requirements arises from external sources. So next, what are non-functional requirements? Usability, performance and reliability and security. Elicitation means this covers several different activities like observation of the users at work and study of the relevant documents and user requirements, user questionnaires, and talking to the people involved in the system. The requirement specification means a cornerstone of the system development project. this is the summary of this PPT or SDLC process. First one is problem definition. Problem definition mainly concentrates on what is the problem and what are the deliverables. Means a problem definition report, statement of problems, scope and objectives of new system and existing system and new proposed system. So this is the problem definition phase. Means mainly the content of the problem definition is what is the problem, what is the existing running manual problem. Second one is what to be deliverable, means problem definition report, statement of problems, various problems on the existing system, scope and objectives of new system. Next, feasibility study. Second phase is feasibility study, means is there a feasible solution? Quick look ahead to see if you can do something about the problem. Feasibility study report, rough cost benefits analysis, system scope and objectives, cost benefit analysis. Third phase is called as analysis. Analysis stage. Analysis means what must be done to solve the problem. And so deliverable means specification of requirements, logical model of the required model. Fourth phase is design phase. So in the design phase, how should the problem be solved? And technical design specifications includes program specifications, hardware specifications, cost estimates and implementation scheduling and schedules like that. Next, fifth stage is implementation. So do it phase, it is also called as do it phase. Working system and includes program listings and documentation, test plans, hardware, operating procedures and others. Maintenance is mainly concentrates on modification or modify existing system as necessary, as and when necessary. Means what are the modifications required, what are the changes or modifications required in the existing or already installed or a proposed new system. So generally in maintenance phase contains working system, operational system and modification and documentations as required. So these are the 6 pages of the SDLC process. So SDLC is a compulsory essay question. It contains 6 pages. First one is problem definition, feasibility study, analysis, design, implementation and maintenance phase.